Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at the prospects of a one of the largest bank, not only in America but all over the world, the Bank of America. We will be looking at its recently released quarterly earnings for the third quarter of 2023, and along with that we will also see what's happening on the stock price side from the point of view of technical analysis. So this session is dedicated to looking at the fundamental as well as technical side of the Bank of America's prospects in the near future, and we will also be considering if there are opportunities which we can take advantage of in the short term, medium term, as well as long term from trading perspective. So let's see what its earnings showed last week. On the back of this earnings release, we have seen that for the major part of last week and this week as well, the Bank of America's stock price has continued to trade higher. Essentially, it has consolidated with upward bias, and in today's session, there is renewed buying momentum. So, from the short-term perspective, the things clearly seem to be on the upswing, but the prospects from the medium term to long term are still an open question, and we will try to answer it as the session progresses. If we consider the quarterly results for the company, in bank's own words, the earnings have been solid with 3% year-on-year growth in total revenues. The net income with its cut in expenses, the net income is up in double digits. The 10% growth is being seen with net income rising from 7.1 million to $7.8 billion. The EPS, that is earning per share, now stands at $0.90, which is 11% up. The balance sheet is also on the strong footing with deposits standing at $1.9 trillion. The capital ratio CET1 stands at 11.9%. There is a tier 1 capital requirement as per the norms laid down by the Federal Reserve. The quarterly dividend has increased 9%. The robust liquidity with GLS amount standing at $859 billion. We also have these further highlights denoting return on equity, the return on average tangible common equity. So these are different measures which try to give you the idea of the kind of returns which are there for the common shareholders. Now, if we look at the highlights of the third quarter of 2023's financial results, the revenue is up and expenses are lower, and on the back of that the bank has been able to post better margins with higher EPS for the third quarter in comparison to the third quarter of 2022. So in year on year terms, the progress is there for all of us to see. This is the same data which we saw on the first page. Now these are the different segments in which the Bank of America operates: the consumer banking, global wealth and investment management, global banking, global markets, and in all these four major segments, the bank has done well with some of the segments reporting quite good numbers, the kind of numbers which haven't really been seen in recent past, particularly the global market segment. It is on the highs. The global banking is also doing quite well. Consumer banking, with the addition of new checking accounts amounting to 200,000. This is the 19th consecutive quarter of growth. So overall, the picture is looking promising for the bank with all these four segments contributing to the overall growth of the bank's business. This is a highlight reel, and for finer points, you can access the whole of this report on the bank's investors relations page. I will just take you through the major points of the quarterly earnings report. Let us roll down a bit. There is a minimum requirement of the Tier 1 capital, which has to be maintained as per the norms of Federal Reserve, and the bank is sitting comfortably with its current cushion standing at US dollar 195 billion, which is almost 32 billion higher than the minimum requirement of US dollar 163 billion. The capital generation has been maintained, and the trajectory has been uppish for last couple of quarters after having seen these low of US dollar 6.2 billion. These are the segmental highlights for the global markets. Now let us take a look on the consolidated statement, the income statement for the third quarter. So if you look at these numbers and compare these to the numbers of the second quarter of this year as well as the third quarter of 2022, you can get a good perspective on how things stand for the bank in the current quarter and what kind of results we can achieve, because these results are being drawn on back of growth being seen in almost all of the segments in which the bank operates. I think these are going to be more sustainable moving forward as well. So even if the bank is not really able to break the recent numbers with too much of a margin, but still this upswing is likely to continue, and even if growth remains in the lower single digits, still growth is growth, and that is likely to provide some positive momentum in the stock price as well, which has already seen low levels in the recent past and some sort of consolidation, and upswing afterwards can't really be ruled out. So I think that possibility is there for us to consider. There has been a major difference in the income tax expenses, with this quarter's expenses standing only at 0.3 billion, which is a lot less compared to the interest expenses of the third quarter of 2022, and that has clearly helped the bank in reporting higher EPS. It is also one factor which we will have to keep in mind. Deposits are upward liability, with Bank of America standing at number one position for the retail deposit market. Alright, now we head to the technical side of the Bank of America and look at its share price, how it has been doing in the recent past, and what kind of movements we can expect in the near future from short term, medium term, as well as from the longer term perspective. This is the Bank of America's chart drawn on the short time frame with each candle break defined at hourly. So we are now looking at the bank's share price movement over last couple of weeks. And here, one thing to take note of is this upswing in the bank share price post its quarterly earnings release, and since then it has continued to consolidate with upward bias, with substantial gains happening in today's session with growth close to 3 percentage point. And even prior to that, the momentum has been bullish since the release of the quarterly earnings. On that day, the bank stock had gone on to close almost 3 percentage point up. Afterwards, it simply continued to consolidate, and similar kinds of moves are being seen in today's session again. Now, if we consider this trajectory, I think moving past this immediate swing high of 27.97 will immediately open up new vistas, because then we will have a formation of higher high. Now we have the formation of lower high, and with the formation of a newer swing high, we will get a slight change in the scenario. And for that purpose, it is going to be important for this upward rally to go and close above this immediate swing high. And as and when it does that, the next thing we have to do is look for the new swing low, which will need to be a higher low, so that we get a confirmation of change in the trajectory of the Bank of America's share price, with the formation of higher highs as well as higher low. And from there on, we can consider the scenario for the Bank of America to have truly changed. Right now, it is rising and consolidating with upward bias, but I feel we need to give it a couple of more sessions for the picture to emerge with more clarity. And as I said, there are going to be two immediate requirements: that it should form a newer swing high, which needs to be higher than the prior swing high, and after that, as and when it will consolidate the correction from the highs, it will need to hold and sustain above the prior swing high, and only in that scenario we will have this confidence in the newly emerging technical formation that from the short-term perspective as well, things have changed and things are looking better for us. After that, we can confirm, we can count on that. So here, pay attention to the bank's share price over next couple of sessions, and I'm fairly confident that we are likely to see the trend change from the short-term perspective, at least because we have gotten the financial statements from the Bank of America, and these were reasonably good. So there is no reason for the stock to again slide on the lower side. Of course, we can't really rule it out totally, but the odds are now in favor of rallying higher from the current levels, and keeping that in mind, we can indeed take our chances if we get a better risk reward ratio with our immediate requirements in place. Now let us enlarge the time frame to the daily and see how things are shaping up. Now if we look at the daily time frame charting, it has been declining for more than a year now since making a high just little above $50 level, and from there on it has been the journey downhill with almost a year on the current levels in vicinity of current levels with dead cat bounce getting it back close to $40 level, and again it gave up all those gains to only see it being pushed back to these sub 30 levels with this low coming just 2 weeks back at $25.45, and from there on it has rallied almost close to 10 percentage point, but still we can't really say that the things are changing. From the longer term perspective, the things are fair and square on the bearish side, so we will have to trade with caution even if we are not going to initiate the new short sale trades at the current juncture. It is not the time to buy either, and maybe if things hold well and it consolidates with short-term change holding for a couple of weeks. Afterwards, we can indeed change our mind and start looking for newer opportunities to buy. But right now, the momentum is still bearish, and it is going to be a better thing to simply wait and watch and allow the consolidation to unfold and maybe come back to the share price again after a couple of weeks so that we can have a fresh look and decide from the investment perspective if we want to hold the stock for next few months or next few years. We will have to wait at the current juncture and allow this consolidation to get us a better and more promising scenario, and at that point we can take a call whether to go for the investment or to simply sit on the sidelines and look for better opportunities elsewhere. So that's my perspective looking at the current fundamental as well as technicals of the Bank of America's stock price. And if you have found these analysis useful, do let me know. You can write your queries, your opinions in the feedback, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. We will be back tomorrow with an equally interesting stock to look at and see if there are opportunities for us to exploit. So we'll come back. See you next time around. Thank you all for joining in. Goodbye.